So how are you feeling about the road to WrestleMania 41? I know I've been thinking about this a lot lately, largely because it's my job between the podcast over at Going in Raw, what I do here at WrestleJuice, and Friendo Club. That's the income that I got coming in. And so in order to make that income, I got to think a lot about the road to WrestleMania. But I wanted to get your guys' opinions about it because I have found that whether it's on social media or in the comment section at the various YouTube channels that I got, or over at the WrestleJuice Reddit thing, people are kind of all over the map when it comes to the current WrestleMania build, if you will, the road to WrestleMania. And so I thought today on WrestleJuice, I would explore the reasons why the build might feel a little underwhelming this year, if it's any different than years past, and why that might be. And in fact, I've enlisted a visual aid like I'm a freaking 7th grade science teacher. Here it is, children. Here's my tier rank thing for the current road to WrestleMania. As you can see, I even whipped up a bunch of these graphics. I didn't whip up these graphics. I stole them from internet, but they're here. And it's the 7 matches that are currently booked for WrestleMania 41. Obviously, there's probably going to be 7 more matches booked for WrestleMania 41. And it's kind of funny because I'm doing this particular video on March 25th. I'll probably release it on March 26th unless I decide to release it like at midnight tonight, in which case it would still be March 26th. Let's go ahead and dive into this really quick. We're going to take a look at each one of the match builds that we've got so far. A couple of these matches haven't even been made official quite yet. And we're going to say if we're LFG, which means Legends of Future, actually means let's fucking go, means, hey, we're really excited about it. Or the middle one is like, okay, it's fine. It's doing its job. And then the bottom one here is no yeet, which means this build has been trash. So let's go ahead and dive into it first. How about we do first why did this just make a weird thing? First up, let's do Jesus. There we go. The main event, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Here's this guy right here. Where's he going to go? The Wheel of Fortune goes round and round, and we're going to land on let's fucking go. Come on, let's be honest, guys. The heel turn at Elimination Chamber was the big moment. That was the big thing that happened this year. Last year, it was probably a series of things. Probably the biggest thing was The Rock absolutely bloodying Cody Rhodes on that episode of, I think, Raw. And so we've got this Cody Rhodes, John Cena thing that I'm actually really excited about because I think John Cena's promos, the 2 that he's dropped, have been pretty solid. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him at some point explain why he actually joined up with The Rock. Maybe it's an obvious thing. Maybe it's, hey, because The Rock can probably help me win. And I'm really looking forward to him actually getting on the mic to talk about Cody Rhodes, because I feel like he's been doing nothing but talking about me. And when I say me, I mean WWE nerds like myself. So I'm excited about this one. I think this is really cool. I know a lot of people out there are like, it's just cutting you people promos and it's not a big deal. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. You should make your own tier rank video thing if you want. And then I guess, I don't know, you can post it on the Reddit juice and maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't. I don't know. Probably won't, to be honest with you. Next up, let's talk about Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship, Women's WWE Championship. This firmly gets a no yeet from me, man. I'm sorry, but that side, they had something kind of cool. They had like one cool thing happen, and that was Tiffany Stratton and the pull apart brawl where she jumped off the big thing. But otherwise, the side-by-side interview thing from last week, a big stinker. And then they never even really explained, Charlotte never really explained why Tiffany Stratton was her choice as opposed to, say, Rhea Ripley. That was kind of a bummer to me. I was like, I'm not really into this. And I'm still kind of not. I feel like Tiffany probably shouldn't be a good guy. And she's being forced into the role as good guy. And she was that with Nia Jax. But they want her to be a good guy, and she just works so much better. She's a great natural heel. She really is. And now she's being forced in this role that really doesn't fit her all that well. So that's where we're at with that. I'm not into this feud. I'm not into this build. And I'll be honest with you, I'd be kind of shocked if they did anything substantial to save it for me. All right, let's talk about the one that everybody's talking about these days, and that is Gunther and Jey Uso. Where is it going to go? Definitely not here, and it's definitely not fine. It's down here in the no yeet category because it's been bad. it's been actively bad. Not like Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, tug of war bad, but it's been bad. Gunther, who already beat Jey Uso, I think 2 times is what they're saying, beat him just at the pay-per-view before the Rumble at Saturday night's main event. And so Jey Uso has his crisis of confidence. They used a botch from the last episode of Raw, and they carried that over into a storyline this episode of Raw. And it might kick up. I still think they've got a couple weeks to salvage it. But already it's been bad. It's been Gunther mixing it up with like Alpha Academy. And thank God they've kept them away from Jey Uso. Now it's sort of back on track, maybe with Jimmy Uso getting involved in things. And if they have the most uncomfortable beatdown on next week's Raw, where Gunther just absolutely destroys Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso is forced to just watch or something like that. I don't know what the situation can be. But I think they would have to do something drastically different than what they've been doing to salvage this thing, because in the meantime, it's really bad. I mean, it's probably worse than the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton one, simply because it's been so aimless, and they've done more stuff than the Stratton Flair stuff, but it hasn't been better. So I don't know which one is worse, to be honest with you. At least with the Tiffany Stratton one, they had one cool moment. All right, let's talk about this one right here. Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. I don't really give a shit about Logan Paul. I don't think AJ Styles has very many more WrestleManias left in him. So why are they wasting on Logan Paul? Will the match be good? Yeah, probably, but I feel like there's a million other people that they could have put into a match with AJ Styles where you'd say, wow, that's a really cool match, and they've got history, or it's a dream match, or something cool would happen here. This is kind of garbage. I don't like Logan Paul. That being said, I'm kind of glad that he's nowhere near a world title or even the U.S. title, given that he's a SmackDown guy. So, yeah, no yeet on that. And on top of that, the actual build has been lame. I think we've just had Logan Paul come out. Crowd gets pissed off because nobody really wants to see that guy on their television as a bad guy or anything else. And then he just, does a Matt Chat question on his phone. I get the feeling that Logan Paul is eventually going to get kind of tired of the wrestling stuff. I think it's going to be kind of like a Ronda Rousey thing where he comes out and he realizes he's not really getting like the kind of heat where it's like, oh man, I love to hate this guy. It's just people thinking, just go away, please. So that one, no yeet. They're not going to be able to convince me otherwise on that one. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, I reluctantly say, it's fine. I like Kevin Owens coming out and saying, hey, let's turn this around. Let's turn into a tag team. I'll be honest with you guys. Nah, it's a no yeet for me. It's been 2 promos. Like, he came back after Elimination Chamber. No, the other one. Whatever one that Kevin Owens. Yeah, it was Elimination. Yeah, it was Elimination Chamber. He came out after their match, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match, came out and then, dropped Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens goes running. And then the next one that we see Randy Orton, he drops a really, really long promo. And then Kevin Owens tries to get him on his side. And it's just, I don't know. It's sort of a lot of nothing right now. And I think the thing about all these matches, I think all these matches can be good. WrestleMania can be a really good WrestleMania this year. I think there's a lot of potential for some really cool shit going on, which sort of hinges on this next one. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. I'm not going to give it a no yeet, and I'm not going to get an LFG. It's going to go under the it's fine. And part of it's fine is I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to get really good over the last couple weeks before WrestleMania. We've got this contract signing coming up where CM Punk in his promo this week on Raw has basically said, I got to make sure that what I want is in that contract. So we don't know what he's talking about, if there's a favor involved, if there's a stipulation involved. He seems to insinuate that he can still get into the main event of WrestleMania. If it's simply, Paul Heyman, please talk to the booker about making this match the main event of night 1 so I can fulfill my dream, that's going to be pretty lame. I hope it's not that. Maybe it will be. I don't know. Maybe the stipulation is if he stacks the Shield, he gets into the main event of night 2, in which case they rope in Cody and John Cena, in which case that'd be definitely a let's fucking go Legends of Future Great situation. All right. Another one that I think is, That's fine. Is this women's world championship one? I did not expect Io Sky to win that title off of Rhea Ripley. I thought that was a good development. They did this cool kind of thing over the last couple weeks where they're all interrupting Adam Pearce, driving him crazy. And so what does he do? He books a Rhea Ripley rematch against Io Sky and makes Bianca the special guest referee. I've been very entertained by all of the characters in this particular build. It hasn't been super complex, but they've done stuff and they all have history. And Adam Pearce has been really good. And I think everybody's done a decent job with this build. So it's not crazy good. It's fine, and I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I'll actually make it more fine than these fellas over here. Move aside, guys. So I think it's a good one. And again, I think given this match coming up on Raw, I think it could be elevated to LFG, to Let's Fucking Go Legends and Future Greats. Which leaves us with this one, which has not been made official, nor has the Logan Paul AJ Styles one. By the way, the Logan Paul AJ Styles one, and then this one down here, this Braun Breaker, Dom, Finn, Penta one, I took those off the internet. This one was from somebody named Bastard Games, and I didn't catch who made this one. So whoever did, well done. But it looks like the reporting is that we're going to be getting Judgment Day, Braun Breaker, and Pentagon in an Intercontinental Championship match, another multi-man match. So that would make what? 1, 2 multi-man matches. We're probably going to get a couple of tag team multi-man matches, maybe a multi-man for the U.S. title, but I feel like that's just going to be LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. So we're going to see if they start loading up these multi-man matches. Where's Sami Zayn? What's he been up to? I don't know. Anyways, let's stick with what we got here. Intercontinental Championship match. So far, it's fine. And I feel like all three of these are on the verge, because I actually really like the Judgment Day stuff from this past Monday. I like they've been building the Dom and Finn stuff. I'm a huge Finn Balor fan, and I want to see him get that damn Intercontinental Championship, and I feel like it's going to happen at WrestleMania. Anyways, I feel like all three of these matches right here have the potential to get up into LFG territory. Also, and I didn't include it here because I don't really know what the match is going to be, if it's going to be a multi-man match or one-on-one, but this Jacob Fatu Solo Sikoa stuff is really percolating. And I feel like it's got the potential, once you rope in the United States champion, however they're going to do it, because it's got Jacob Fatu in it and LA Knight, two guys that I really like. I feel like it's got the potential to be a let's effing go. So, yeah. Now, if you compare this to last year, hopefully this works. I'll be honest with you guys. I know it's because I'm a little bit on the old side, but one of the reasons why I think this year's WrestleMania is a bit on the underwhelming side is because last year you had two what I like to call sagas. It's what me and Larson have termed things like the Bloodline story, where you've got a cast of characters which filters through the rest of the show. Now, last year we had two sagas, really, maybe even three. You had Judgment Day stuff. Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest are both in Judgment Day still to say at the time. And then you also had, obviously, the Bloodline stuff, which encompassed a lot of different things. You also had Sami Zayn versus Gunther. But it's not like beyond that, the build to last year was all that great. I barely remember the Rhea Becky stuff, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed the Bayley EO, the Bayley damage control stuff. I thought that was pretty good, although I feel like they kind of rushed the actual, like, Bayley's going to come for EO Sky stuff, although I really liked what they did with that. I don't remember this a whole lot. The Rey Mysterio and Santos versus, Rey Mysterio and Andrade versus Santos and Dom. I don't remember that too well. I remember being underwhelmed by the Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Logan Paul stuff. LA Knight versus AJ Styles had some cool shit going for it. This right here, not so much. The Bobby Lashley group. They never actually gave him a real name. I know they were what they called the Pride, something like that. But they never really leaned into it all that much. Versus Final Testament, which I think, wasn't that on the kickoff or an opener? I don't know what it was. The Uso stuff, I thought the build for the Uso stuff was good. But again, it's because they had those sagas going on. You had Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. That was probably good, if I remember correctly. And then, of course, you had the main saga things happening with Seth and Roman and Rock and Cody. Oh, that's right. Drew was involved in that tangentially as well. So you had more stories that were kind of just like weaving in and out of each other. And without those sagas, I feel like that's one of the big reasons why this year might feel a little less exciting, a little more underwhelming, because it's not a real saga. Rock showed up, helped out John Cena, or John Cena turned heel and aligned with The Rock, but we haven't seen The Rock since then. There hasn't been like a big overarching story thing going on there. It's just sort of like a feud, one guy and another guy, and they're having a feud with each other. So there isn't like a big, massive overarching story there. Also, SmackDown's been 3 hours. SmackDown at 3 hours, not my favorite thing in the world. And I know I am a little bit on the bias side. Shorter is better simply because it's my job. And when I'm watching SmackDown on a Friday, I'd prefer to sit there for 2 hours and then give as much energy as I can to the podcast, as opposed to sitting there for 3 hours, especially given that the SmackDowns are not very good this year. I feel like once it moves back to 2 hours, which I think it's supposed to do in the summertime, once it moves back to 2 hours, SmackDown's going to probably go back to being a pretty good show, depending on if the creative's any good, I guess, obviously. So there you have it. There's my take on the current build to WrestleMania. I want to know what you guys think. What are your reasons for whether or not this is a decent build or not a decent build? Is this a, hey, let it play out, we still have 3 more weeks to go? Do you think it has anything to do with the placement of Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania being pushed back an additional 2 weeks? What are your thoughts on the build to this year's WrestleMania? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. We'll see you guys around.